Okay, so this is no recording. Okay, so as I said today, hopefully just wait for my screen to catch up. I just want to quickly run through the criteria for disadvantaged pupils and the current legal situation from the DfE, the various successful strategies which other schools have used, other trusts have used, some steps we can take when we're looking at the pupil premium strategy in our school, and then to evidence that, what can we actually bring out from SIMS to support our pupil premium students and actually evidence the work we're doing to minimise the difference between their outcomes and the outcomes of other pupils in the school. So I seem to have just a little lag between my computer and the one I'm moving on. Some definitions then. So you're all probably aware of the DfE definitions of pupils. We're looking at those who are free school meals. We're looking at looked after children, or those who have come out of being looked after. And we may choose to classify children with parents in the armed forces, the service child premium. Some schools count that where that has a big impact on their numbers on roll because they move around. They maybe not have the consistency in a school. Others don't like to use that. So we'll just have that on the edge of something we may want to look at. Just a reminder, some facts and figures. So this academic year, those are the various amounts which you should be receiving per pupil who is in your school. So the deprivation pupil premium is 1345 in a primary, 955 in a secondary. We've got the higher premiums for the looked after children and your service children. As I said, it's a similar, a small sum to support those children who are moving around a lot following their military parents. The national picture is actually quite interesting just to look at as a background. These are the figures from 2018-19. I don't have the 1920 figures. Over 2 million children are involved with pupil premium, and that averages out at around 23% of primary school pupils and 28% of secondary pupils across the country. And obviously that will vary from local authority to local authority and from school to school. But it's a large number, and over, as you can see, £2.4 billion is allocated to pupil premium children. So we should be able to evidence what we're using it on in our schools. The reason there's been a lot of information going on, there's been a lot of talk recently after the lockdown about the effect this might have on pupil premium children over and above your standard, so your normal cohort, is that the attainment gap is always very noticeable between pupil premium children, disadvantaged children, and other pupils. I was trying to find the latest survey. I wasn't able to find it just before this. So this is from 2016, but I think it's very much still the case that on average, you're looking at about 20% lower attainment by the end of Key Stage 2 for pupil premium children, which lifts them only just a tiny bit above SEN pupils for attainment. So it is definitely a factor which we need to show that we are tackling in our schools. For secondary schools, that gap's a little bit narrower. You're looking at a 10-12 point gap between the achievements of the disadvantaged and all of the pupils, but there still is a gap which we need to look at using funding to close. In terms of Ofsted, in the current framework, there are a number of phrases which suggest that inspectors are still going to be looking at how you deal with the most disadvantaged pupils. They also include SEND, which is not going to be the focus of today's short presentation, but will very much deal with the pupil premium funding, free school meals, FSM6, and the looked after children. How you use that and how you've got good evidence for the things you're putting in place, and also that you can account for how you spent your money in terms of supporting those pupils. And again, just to reinforce the paragraph out of the framework, we look at the level of pupil premium funding received, leaders and governors have spent it and how we've actually monitored that impact. So if you think of the intention and impact elements of the new DFE framework, we need to show that. And how can we compare the progress of disadvantaged pupils with others, looking at both internal data for our own purposes, but also in the national outcomes in the published key stage data. And above all this should be regularly reviewed. So your pupil premium policy, which you need to publish on your website, just need to make sure that that's always up to date and based on evidence. And again, what I hope to show is some of the areas of SIMS where we can pull out that evidence. So what can we look at in terms of strategies and planning? There's a lot of good research gone on. The Dunford report is a few years old now, but still it's the most comprehensive review of pupil premium spending, taking in 15,000 school leaders to investigate how they were using pupil premium, looking at what types of strategies were used, observing across a wide range of different schools, not just multi-academy trust, not just teaching schools, but a wide range of schools, and coming up with the common characteristics of where pupil premium was used successfully. So what I've done is I've picked out the 12 things which came out of the Dunford report, and later on I want to revisit some of those where I feel they can most easily be supported with evidence from SIMS and where you can find that SIMS. I'll also be pointing you back to some of the documents which I used for my research. There's things from the Education Endowment Foundation, the Sutton Trust, and also some documents which we've put together to guide you through. So I won't read through everything, but we've got things like the collection, analysis and use of data. We've got the monitoring of progress of pupil premium children. We've got interventions being put in place where a child's progress slows. We've got possible involvement with parents and maybe being able to sort of communicate with them more effectively, maybe using electronic methods. We need to address attendance and we need to be able to quickly look at any comparison between a child's attendance and being a pupil premium. And we need to look at making sure that all our governors are involved and our governors understand what we're using our pupil premium funding for. There are some other things on the second screen which really are more difficult to look at within SIMS. There is some performance management in SIMS if you purchase the extra module, which allows you to appraise and to do lessons observation, where you could record specific pupil premium related targets. And in the Dunford plan, there were sort of 10 steps of what you can do. I think what we're going to really look at here is the monitoring side, looking at the outcomes, looking at where we spend money and looking at how we can review both for individual pupils and our whole pupil premium cohort. The Education Endowment Fund document on pupil premium, which was published in 2019, and there's a slight update for 2020, dealing mainly with schools with a sixth form, was that the most successful strategies came into those three categories I've got on the screen. So it was supporting teachers, providing professional development recruitment, especially for teachers in their first few years. It was what we possibly think more of as interventions, so structured, small group, one-to-one support, all designed to give extra support for a little cohort of pupils. But also they look on wider strategies, whole school strategies as also having a big impact in terms of using pupil premium funding to do things like breakfast clubs to improve punctuality and increase attendance, and also whole school behaviour strategies which also benefit children receiving pupil premium almost more than the standard cohort. So that's just a really brief bit of background. I have got a much more longer document which we will make available at the end of this to go through that in a little bit more detail. But for today's version, let's just spend approximately 20 minutes actually having a look in Sims and looking at what we can pull out from those. So first of all, every year in Sims, you will need to update your pupil premium. Although you may tick the box on the pupils record 1 year, it does not automatically roll over to the next year. So you will need to update that each year. By far the easiest way is to download the pupil premium file from Key to Success website, which imports directly into Sims and will fill in for all pupils who are eligible for pupil premium this year, and will also retrospectively pop in the previous years where they would have qualified for their document, their pupil premium. I meant to have changed that. The 2021 list did come out a little bit later, but it was available in early September, so you can download that from Key to Success. And there is a frequently asked question on our SCOMIS web pages, which will take you through importing that file and how you want to use it to update the pupil premium records. That will also contain the funding each child receives, so that you've got a very good idea of the actual amounts which are in the system. To go back to those 12 characteristics of good schools, we had the collection, analysis and use of data for individuals and groups. I'm going to go through the slides fairly quickly because I actually want to do this live in Sims. But just the top key pastoral factors report, that's the school report, which is a one-click report. And the second, obviously, a screenshot from the pupil teacher view, just showing straight away the children who are pupil premium, but also linking into things such as their attendance and their attainment and their conduct, so that you've got all that in one place to quickly have a look. With my experience in schools, we find that some of these things, such as the assessment key indicators, have never really been set up, but they can become a very instant place to go to look at information about the attainment of your children, and not just your pupil premium children. We'd also want to make sure that we have excellent data relating to attainment. So this is just a very quick screen grab of one of the capita reports, which runs on the Key Stage 2 data. Now, obviously, we don't have that for our current year 3, but for any previous year, we should be able to generate, as soon as we have the validated results from NCA tools, and we've imported those results into our system, we should be able to run a report which will actually pick up those groups and look at the gap between the pupil premium and the non-pupil premium children. Those are free reports available. We make them available on our website, and they just run and pull out from the standard data which is input into the Key Stage wizards. So there's reports available at all levels, from early years to Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and there are also reports if you're a secondary school which you can run on your Key Stage 4 data either termly. And of course all of these can be run at any stage during the year. If you're tracking within Sims, you can run similar reports. The little graphic which has just popped up is just a mark from a mark sheet. So where a teacher is putting data into a Sims mark sheet, we have the ability to pull through all the contextual data, such as pupil premium, and to use that as a filter on the mark sheet so that we can monitor that particular cohort nice and easily. One of the points was the unerring focus on the quality of teaching. This is a screenshot from the staff performance module in Sims, which is an additional module. It does have a small cost associated. I think it's $250 for a primary school, $500 for a secondary school, but allows you to go through the whole appraisal process, including classroom observations, including setting targets, reviews and documentary evidence. So we can use that to monitor if one of our targets is to set high expectations or to maximize potential of our pupil premium children. We could be monitoring that within the staff performance software. Okay, and again, I'll go into Sims in a second to go through this. There are a number of tools we can look at in terms of identifying some of the barriers to learning. We need to monitor. We need to monitor regularly. We can do that in Sims itself, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But we can also use things like the Discover tool. So here we have an attainment graph, which we've pulled out of the system, and our first columns, the left-hand column for each subject is the whole cohort. The right-hand column is our pupil premium cohort. So for example, for maths there, we can see that with our above at national standard and below paradigm, we've got many more children in the green section, which is the below national expectations, than we have above for our pupil premium children. So we can identify that. That's in year 1 autumn, and then we can start putting in the strategies to go through. We can also record any interventions we're putting in place. So where we are using the system to record those interventions, we can report on it. So what we have on the screen, and unfortunately they both come up at the same time, the front little graphic is an individual report on a child's interventions. So we've recorded the fact that the child has a variety of interventions which have been put in place. So we have some there for improving attendance for pupil premium children, supporting their maths, helping them to go on school trips, and those 3 interventions have a cost, which we've associated with the intervention as a whole. That's then divided down to give an individual child cost of certain interventions which are going on, but which we can then use as evidence as to how pupil premium funding has been put in place. And behind that, we have a more graphic. This is a school cost intervention report, which runs from the same piece of software, which sits inside Sims, and which actually gives the full picture. So we can see there that the first one, the pupil premium increased attendance rates for the period of time, has a total cost of £4,500, which might break down into staff costs, additional materials, light, heating, all the things which we've associated with putting on those. So we have our total spend for pupil premium on the right-hand side, just behind the graphic. Talking about communication with parents, we may find that parents of children who receive pupil premium might themselves have had more of a struggle to get into school. They might find it more off-putting. So it might be a question of looking to communicate those using electronic communication. There are a number of tools on the market, a number of bits of software which will do that. The screenshot I've got there is from the Sims parent app, which again allows you to communicate and to send out regular updates on things like attendance. It could be behaviour, it can be assessment, it can be the termly reports. It could be homework if you're including the homework part of Sims Parent. So that, again, you're keeping those children as parents informed of what's going on a regular basis, and helping to negate the fact that they may be more unwilling or reluctant to come into school to talk about their child's progress. In terms of attendance, there are any number of graphs which we can, reports and graphs we can run. So we've got a group analysis by vulnerability, which will just focus on any particular cohort we want to, where we can pull out their attendance. And in the background, we've got a screenshot from the school report, again, which I just wanted to quickly show, has that breakdown by pupil premium and non-pupil premium. And again, in terms of our governors at schools, we can provide very quick graphics from Sims to actually show where the pupil premiums are, how many children we've got, where they are in each year group. So let's actually go into Sims and have a look at some of those things live, just so that we can actually see what's going on. Just going to bring up my Sims screen. So I'm logged into a primary database for Sims at the moment. I appreciate that might be a little bit small. We will try and actually zoom when we make the video of it so you can revisit. But first of all, just to go through, importing your Pupil Premium data under Tools and Pupil Premium, there's an import function. This is where we would actually then browse and pick up the file from Key to Success and use it to update our records for deprivation, looked after, etc. It's a very simple import, and as I said, there is a KB article on our website on how to import that. But that will then bring in all the data and all the funding so that it sits within SIMS. There is also, under the same routine, Tools Pupil Premium, but this time Maintain, where we can actually have at everything that's going on, and we can run a report and export it to bring up all the information about the Pupil Premium children in our school. Okay, so let's have a look at the various things I'd want to see. First of all, as a classroom teacher, I need to be able to understand where my group is. So if I go into this afternoon's register, bring up that onto the screen, and depending on whether I have my laptop showing on a projection onto a whiteboard or onto a large monitor, I may or may not want to have indicators up on my register. So where I've got children, I've managed to find a one group without any Pupil Premium children, but I can quickly see this just takes the form of a blob in the box under Pupil Premium to show that I've referenced the Pupil Premium from my register. If I go into one of my mark sheets, so let's go into my Year 6 mark sheet. So I'm putting in some assessment data. All the contextual data is sitting in the system along with historic data. So I have a column here, the fourth column from the left, excuse me, which is showing who is Pupil Premium. And in any SIMS mark sheet, if I just go to the top right-hand corner, it becomes a filter. So I can just filter any of my mark sheet just to look at those Pupil Premium children and have a look at the analysis of their grades. The grades being whatever the school chooses to use it. SIMS is very flexible, allows you to put just about anything in, but also to record things such as standardized scores if you're using things like Rising Stars, Puma, Accelerated Reader to take in some data from testing that's going on. So at any stage, we can look at Pupil Premium, and we can also combine that with any of the other factors. So if you wanted to know Pupil Premium and EAL, we can put in both filters to actually narrow it down to a really small group of pupils. If I then drill into a pupil record from that mark sheet, it will open up the record, and again, underneath the photograph of the child in this view, we will immediately see whether they do qualify for the Pupil Premium funding. So there's no reason for me as a classroom teacher not to know which children are receiving funding, which children I need to be providing that extra support for. I mentioned the school report. This is a one-click report under the reports menu, right to the bottom, school report. We can run it for any combination of dates within this academic year. I want to see the long version, and I will just hide some of these because they're a little bit out of date, but we'll just go for those. And I'll just generate the report. This will take 10 to 15 seconds, probably in a small primary. Might take a little bit longer in a large secondary school to run, but we'll collate together all the sort of data that you might want to present to a Board of Governors in terms of the numbers in the school. So the first page is always just generic data. If I just zoom that a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier to see. And if I go to the second page, this is where you see we've got a breakdown of all our children. Now, I know I've got an issue with my database and that I only updated the Pupil Premium today. I just got through Year 6 and Year 5. As it's a pretend school, I don't have the luxury of going to Key Success to pull that down. But that does give me the percentage of children in each of Year 5 and 6 and the overall percentage and number of children across all the schools, the whole school. And if I go further on into, say, session attendance, we can see that we've got Pupil Premium groups and their percentage in comparison to the whole school percentage. So we've got that very, very clearly across a large number of aspects, and the school report has a large number of sections on session attendance and absence and behaviour, so that we can pull all that together, and with always being able to filter down in our report to our disadvantaged pupils, our pupil premium pupils. Okay, I'm just going to close down the school report. The other piece of software which I might want to use to do my reporting is to pull up Discover, which is that graphical tool, which sits alongside Sims, synchronizes with Sims overnight, and allows me to pull up a variety of charts about pupil data and pupil progress. So if I just pop into this, I'm going to go to last year. There's always a 3-year ability to look at data. Let's go to take out my student totals by year group, which I'll just pop on one side, and I'm now going to go to this blue, turquoise, pale blue chart, and I'm going to pull out my student totals by pastoral factors onto the other side. So if I want to have a look at number of pupil premium by year group, I can very quickly take, he says, just waiting for that to come through. I've got my pupil premium column, so I can see I've got 93 pupil premium children, of which 89 are free school meals. I'm going to take my pupil premium column, I'm just going to drag, and I'm just going to drop that onto my year group. It then creates a second set of columns on the first chart in a different color, which will show me the number of pupil premium children by year group. Now I'm working on a standalone machine, which is a little bit slower than on our hosted platform, which is why it's taking just a little bit longer than it would normally. But within the next minute or so, I will have, there we go, next couple of seconds, I now have my distribution of pupil premium children by year group. If I want to then pop that into Report to Governors, I can just copy that, go to a Word document and paste that in, and it will strip out the dark background and put it in just as a standard chart. The great thing about this is I can combine any sets of data. So again, if we were looking particularly at whole school attendance and looking at our cohort in terms of, do our pupil premium children attend school, or are they dropping off? Do we need to put in any interventions for their attendance? At the moment, at the end of this year, that we had 91.46 attendance. If I take my pupil premium children and drop them onto that chart, it's going to create another column which will give me a direct comparison between the whole school attendance and the pupil premium attendance. And again, my slow machine in the background just taking a little bit longer than this than it should do, but we will get a second column, there we go, with our 83% attendance for our pupil premium children against our 91% for the whole cohort. And we can see that at any stage through the system. And we can also combine. So if we wanted to have a look at our special needs children and just check how many of our special needs children were also pupil premium, we can take the column from our student by SEN status graph and combine that in the background with our pupil premium. So I'm just going to take my pupil premium, drop them on the background. So when I drop anything on the background, it becomes a one circle Venn. And then I can take a column from another chart, drop on top, and begin to build a Venn diagram. So out of the pupil premium children, we'll quickly see how many of them are also SEND support in school, which is used as the code K in the system. Again, apologies for my system running slightly slower than I would like it to. That should have completed by now, and we will just have an overlapping Venn with the children in the middle. Okay, I'm going to just leave that one, and you'll have to trust me that that will turn into a Venn diagram very shortly. Coming back into Sims, and if we're looking at analysing a performance and attainment of them, we had a quick look at a mark sheet, which I could see as a classroom teacher. But if I just go into something called a tracking grid and pull up an overview of attainment grid, and just populate that grid in. This gives my whole school attainment. Unfortunately, I've only got some data in for year 6, but because the system knows who is a pupil premium child, if we want to have a whole school pupil premium only list of attainment, we can populate that chart in again, and this time it's just focused on our pupil premium children. And we can look at that both in terms of just looking at current attainment, but it may be we want to model their early years or their Key Stage 1 performance against their current attainment. So we might have a transition matrix which comes across showing where they were at Key Stage 1, where they are using our current system, and then I can pop in again and use any of the filters, either just Pupil Premium by itself, populate to refresh, or I could combine that with some of the other filters, our SEND example, to bring all that through. Finally, just to quickly show you the interventions module. So interventions is where we can actually record everything that's going on in terms of specific interventions we've put in. So we've got a range of them here. We've got some focused on attendance, some on behaviour, some on academic. With any of these, if I go into, let's say, mathematics improvement, and we want to put in an intervention for pupil premium children this term, we need to give it a name, pupil premium maths improvement. We give it a start date. I'm going to start now, and we'll go through to January. So maybe this would more naturally go into a term. This is going to have 12 sessions of catch-up maths. There's some fixed costs of, let's say, £300 to cover lighting and whatever, let's say 360, just so it matches up, £30 a day to open the classroom. We're going to have one TA supporting this for 40 minutes, one for every session. So we work out that that's going to cost, say, £16 a session. And we've got some materials, some extra reinforcement maths materials, put down as £4 a session. So that will generate an overall cost to run the intervention. We add in the member of staff who's going to be doing that. And then we can pick up the children who are going to take part in this. And again, we can browse in, pick up our pupil premium children, narrow that down by a year group if required. I'm going to put all 24 children into this intervention and save that. We can now go and record the fact that they've attended the session, that they have made progress from their starting point to their end point, and we can see the costs involved for a child. If I just go quickly in, run a report and run an intervention cost analysis, and I'm just going to drop my date back a year just so I can pick up everything from in the last year, populate that. I've got to go back to this year, in which case I may not pick up as much data as I hoped, but we'll just see. So we've got our mathematics improvement one, which I've set up. There's the cost of it, and there's the individual costs. So by making it a £600 intervention, we can see that we're spending roughly £25 per child to put that intervention on and hopefully improve their outcomes. And then we have a number of ways we can monitor that and look at their outcomes by running a variety of reports within here to show that we've looked at their outcome. We can run it for an individual student, and we can also go back into Discover, where my Venn diagram has now taken place, and we can bring out, I'll just close a couple of these windows. We can actually look at student totals by interventions and track the number of students who've been supported by any of the interventions that we've put in place. So a large number of instances where Sims will provide us with the evidence of supporting students who qualify for pupil premium, whether it be in attendance, whether it be in behaviour, whether it be their attainment from a mark sheet or in a tracking grid. SIMS is capable of providing a lot of evidence out for you to show how you are supporting those children throughout their time in your school. Okay, I've already overrun our allotted half hour. I'm just going to pop back into the PowerPoint purely just to give you our contact details. So if there is anything you've seen there today which you think didn't really know about that, there are a couple of things I'd want to point you. First of all, on the SCOMIS webpage, there is an FAQ on how to get your information into SIMS. There are also some blog entries which I've put up, which take you through everything you need and can do in SIMS with Pupil Premium. In fact, if I just come out of my there's a 10-page booklet on Pupil Premium, which is available on our website, which takes you through all the various steps required, how to run reports, how to access the school report, how to look at individual pupils and cost-benefit analysis. That's all up on our website. But our account managers, every school has an account manager, will be able to come and, or at the moment, probably do a virtual visit with you to talk about how you can make more use of the system. You can either log a call on our service desk number to book that, or you can email the service desk, ask for an account meeting with your account manager, and they would be able to talk to you as a single school or a trust to help you work out how you could make more advantage, better use of SIMS, more efficient use of SIMS, to record and to push out evidence about how you are supporting your Pupil Premium children. So that's covered what I hoped to cover in slightly longer than I would have liked. I've just run over slightly. If you have any questions on today, feel free to type them in the chat, the Teams chat at the moment, and I can try and answer them in the next few minutes. I'll stay on the line to do that. If not, that's taken us roughly to the end of the webinar. So thank you very much for attending this afternoon. These will be made available via our website. You will all get a link to it. And please contact us if you need any support at all. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording.